Hello everyone and welcome to another Stargate lore video. It's been a while since I've done just a simple lore video, hasn't it? It's been like 5 months? Wow, okay then. Time to make up for lost time. Today we'll be talking about the Travelers.
We're travelers.
You live in space all the time.
The Travelers are a human group from the Pegasus galaxy. Uniquely, they are a spacefaring group, unlike most human groups in Pegasus, who the Wraith have prevented from reaching any advanced technological state. We don't know how they reached this state, but I have a theory. We know thanks to Weir from the episode Ghost in the Machine that there are advanced civilizations in Pegasus, hiding from the Wraith. I think that the Travelers were one of these advanced groups hiding from the Wraith, until they weren't. When the Wraith found them, they must have packed up everything and everyone they could onto their spaceships and fled into the stars. Keep in mind this is just a theory and there is another possibility, but I will go into that theory when I talk about their technology. They stayed on their ships, constantly moving, only ever landing on planets to look for supplies or to trade. And while at first it was to hide from the Wraith, at some point it just became a way of life for them. However, recently a major issue has happened for them. While at one point they may have been able to build more ships, that time is gone. Their ships are just old now, and while they do what they can to keep them functional, when one fails, it's just gone. Despite having strict population controls, the simple truth is they don't have enough ships for their population. They even started having to abandon their people on planets. They did find a hope, however, a Lantean warship, one that could house 1,000 of their people. There was a problem though. While aware of the ATA gene and its necessity in operating Lantean technology, seemingly no one in their population has the gene, meaning they could not operate or fix it. However, they did start to hear rumors of a new group of humans in the galaxy using Lantean tech to fight the Wraith. So they kidnapped John Shepard and forced him to help fix the ship under the threat of being thrown out the airlock. And in case you're wondering why they didn't just ask for help, because he might have said no. After some hijinks and a few Wraith coming on board, the captain who took Shepard, Laren, agreed to let Shepard go since he made an interesting proposal. He pointed out that while the Lantean ship may buy them some time, ultimately they are still doomed to a slow extinction. But with the Wraith weakened due to their war with the Replicators, it provided an opportunity. One that could be capitalized on with the advanced technology the Travelers had. So she let Shepard go with a promise of this informal alliance. One that would be called upon during the events of Be All My Sins Remembered, when Shepard went to Laren saying they needed the Travelers' aid in defeating the Replicators who started to wipe out human populations to fight the Wraith. She was able to get several ships to commit to the battle over the Replicator homeworld, as well as their Lantean ship, which had been upgraded by the Atlantis expedition. The battle ended in Allied victory for the Tauri, Wraith, and Travelers, though they did lose at least one generation ship in the fight. Sometime after the battle, they decided to establish their first permanent settlement on a planet for the first time in over 100 generations, most likely due to the weakened state the Wraith were in at this time. It seemed like things were looking good for the Travelers, with a hope for the future and a new place to call home. It even has a Stargate. Nothing ever goes wrong from having one of those around.
Somehow, you found the Atero device.
The what?
Oh. Yeah, so unfortunately for the Travelers, the Veneer, the rogue Asgard, stole the Atero device from Atlantis and turned it on. In case you don't know, the Atero device causes Wraith ships entering into hyperspace to explode, and has the side effect of causing Stargates to explode as well. 3,000 people died and the Travelers lost 2 ships including their Lantean warship in the blast. They went to Atlantis to find out why this was happening and aided the expedition in the destruction of the Atero device and helped save the Daedalus. And this is the end of their story as far as we know. But you all know me, I'm going to add in details from the books. There's not much on them in the books. They refused to join in on the treaty with the Wraith, and offered a little aid to a human who kept fighting the Wraith after the treaty. Ford. Yeah, Ford is still alive and was found by the Travelers who nursed him back to health. I'll save what happened to Ford for a future video, but this is the last thing we know they did. Technologically, the Travelers are one of the most known advanced groups in the Pegasus Galaxy. Though given that most human groups in the Pegasus Galaxy technologically are, well...
Let's just say that this about sums it up, huh?
It should be noted that while advanced, most of their technology is jury-rigged together, with loose wires that can be seen all over the place, and Zenlinka commented that their hyperdrives are assembled from mismatching components. That being said, their shield and weapons technology is still able to stand up in a fight with replicator and veneer ships. Not for an extended period, mind you, but we saw a Traveler ship take out 2 veneer ships. Just some examples of their advanced technology include handheld and ship-mounted energy weapons, armbands that can serve as both a communication and radiation sensor, and handheld computers, all indicating they must have come from an advanced culture to develop these. Though, like I said, there is a second possibility to where their advanced tech comes from. During the short story Consort, we learned the Lanteans would give advanced ships to humans to ferry grain and ore to their worlds. It's possible that the Travelers originated from these pilots, who took the ships and fled to the stars when the war ended. However, there's an issue with this idea. It has been said that Traveler tech is nothing like Lantean tech, so that means if the theory is true, the Lanteans would have built ships using technology nothing like their own? That doesn't make a lot of sense, especially since it has been noted that Traveler tech is not based on control crystal or any other more exotic technologies. It runs on simple wires and chips, something not really seen by other advanced races. Like I said, I think the previous theory of the Travelers being from an advanced human group is more likely their origin, but I felt I should offer both options. For their society, we sadly can't glean that much from them, but I think we can make some educated guesses. For example, I think we can say they're a deeply communal society. Since they have to spend so much time in a confined space, it makes sense they would form deep bonds with others, especially when they have to spend so much time keeping their ships operational. However, we can also assume that due to the scarcity of resources, they have a low tolerance for people who abuse the system. I have to imagine that exile or being thrown out the airlock is a common practice for criminals, if Valerian's comments are to be believed and she wasn't trying to intimidate Shepard. We can also assume that they place more focus on the group over the individual, since Laren was willing to risk 2 of her crew being exposed to radiation to make Shepard surrender. There is something odd about their political structure. We know they are ruled by a governing council who make all the major decisions for their fleet. However, individual ship captains make the most decisions when it comes to their individual ships. Which makes sense, but if the council decide to engage in a military operation, say against the replicators with the Tari and Wraith, ship captains can refuse to join? That is very odd and implies the governing council is not a strong central government. This would be like if the US finally declared war on Canada, but every state on the border refused to join in. I get the idea of ship captains having a lot of power and authority over their individual ships, but it seems like in a society like this, the central government should have quite a bit of power. Take the Quarians of Mass Effect, for example. Their ship captains and councils handle the more day-to-day things, but the Conclave and Admiralty Board handles larger issues that affect their whole fleet, and when they make a decision, it is followed. To be clear, it's not that it's impossible for the Traveler system to be set up this way, but it is kind of odd. We know the Travelers trade with various planets in Pegasus, so I'd imagine they try to maintain good relations to keep trading. Since Ronan's gun is of Traveler design and he seemingly didn't know about them, I think we can assume it was a traded, possibly stolen good. Naturally, like most residents in the Pegasus Galaxy, they have poor relations with the Wraith. If we take the books into consideration, this hatred of the Wraith goes so far as they refuse to join in on the peace treaty, though they are one of the only groups in Pegasus that can actually stand up to the Wraith now with their weakened state. Their relationship with the Tari is a little hard to pin down. While their initial meeting was not good, as they kidnapped Shepard and tortured him, they have proven to be consistent allies, as they have assisted the expedition in at least 2 military operations, and the expedition has helped repair and upgrade at least 2 of their ships. However, if we look at the books, this positive relationship seemingly has gone sour due to the treaty with the Wraith. I like the Travelers. We saw different ways people in the Pegasus Galaxy try to deal with the Wraith issue, from the Genii trying to fight them with nuclear bombs, or to the Hoppins with their vaccine. The Travelers flying around in their ships feels like a natural way people would try to deal with the Wraith, and I like how they are an exception in the Pegasus Galaxy. A few years ago, Space Doc made a video on how to rule a galaxy. It's a really good video and I encourage you all to check it out, but he talked about how Earth was an exception since they slipped through Goa'uld rule and developed their own technology. But the thing is, that's not really true. Earth isn't an exception. There are countless planets in the Milky Way that seem to have slipped through Goa'uld's control. While some are primitive, others are just as advanced as Earth is, or even more so. I think in Atlantis they recognized this and tried to keep more groups technologically primitive. So the Travelers do feel like an actual exception to the rule and not just another advanced group hiding out from the big bad. And their technology is interesting since, like I said, it's not based on the more exotic tech we see from other advanced races. It almost seems like something the Tau'ri would have made if they didn't get their hands on control crystals. But what do you all think? Do you like the Travelers and would like to see them again in the future? Or do you think they never should have been introduced? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, leave a like and subscribe, and remember,
your people are headed for a slow death.
What other choice do we have?